How could we ever live without our clickers? We need to rewind things and instant replays when we're doing sports. Truth for Today by Mrs. B. Paul talks about to Timothy, these days are bad because Nero was the tyrannical leader and he was an awful ruler, and there was stress for all kinds of Christians. Maybe you're not under that kind of stress, but you feel the pressures and stress of your life too. And Paul said to them, I want to remind you, being mindful that your grandmother had a sincere faith. Her name was Lois. And your mother Eunice had a sincere faith. And God was faithful to her. And now you have that same faith. And God will be faithful to you. Well, Paul continues. And he says, I want to say this for this reason. I remind you to kindle afresh the gift of God. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of discipline. And Paul says, I'm going to remind you of this, because when you think back and you recollect those memories, because that's what the reminding is, of how faithful God was to Eunice, how faithful God was to Lois. And you could put in it whatever names you want, but God answered prayer in your family. And you think back on those things. Maybe last year you needed a co-op and God provided. Maybe you needed some financial support and God provided. And as you face those struggles presently, you think back and you push rewind and you play it back in your mind and you think, yes, that's how God answered that. And you replay that and you know that God was faithful and He will be faithful to you in the end.
I don't want to go through